These are 5 habits you can do today that will instantly boost your sales and your income. I've sold over $500 million worth of real estate. It might be good to take a little bit of advice. Habit number 1, have a buyer and seller checklist. So, every time you talk to a buyer, start writing down your process from what you say on the phone to what you say on the appointment to what you say on the showings and how you open escrow. Start writing them down in your notes, and then you can send those texts, those email templates the same way every time. And what's really cool about this is you start to realize what works better than others. And now you have a clear process of how to make a transaction get from a conversation to the closing table, and it's duplicatable. Habit number 2, every time something good happens in the transaction, I want you to ask them for a referral. It's when they're happiest and their state is heightened. And during that time, you're gonna say, hey Cliff, a lot of my clients come from family or friends or people you may know at work. Who do you know that might also be looking to buy a home right now? And when you train them to do this, as soon as they give you that first referral, what I want you to do is reward them. Train them and show them that every time they give you a referral, you give them a bottle of liquor, you take them out to dinner, something good happens in their favor. I have a client who has given me 6 or 7 referrals by now. Every single time he gives me a referral, I send him a bottle of pineapple vodka. We have a running joke about how much vodka I have sent him, but now I've trained him on this process and he sends me referral after referral after referral. Habit number 3 is have those objection handlers mastered, because your buyers and sellers are going to only say the same objections. They're gonna say, I wanna talk to other agents, I wanna rent, I'm gonna think about it, I'm not ready yet, or maybe I'm gonna hire someone else. They're only gonna say those few things, so you can have a list of scripts prepared for when they say that, so you're gonna be looking forward to them saying the objection. For example, if I ask you right now, hey, I'm thinking about renting instead of buying, would you immediately know what to say? Or would you give a common response, which is, oh, well, do you really want to pay someone else's mortgage? Which I don't think is that strong of an objection handler. When I hear somebody say, you know, we're really thinking about renting and instead of buying, the first thing I say is, well, what's your monthly payment? What are you spending right now? You want to keep it around. And if they say anything above $3,000 a month, I know that I should be able to get them at least to a buyer consult. Whereas if they say anything below that, they're probably not a good client for me. And so if they say, Devin, we're looking to spend $3,500 a month, I say, wow, that's $36,000, $48,000 a year, depending on where you go. That's quite a bit. Actually, this reminds me just of a client, Thomas. Have I told you about him? And the clients always say, no, you haven't. I know I haven't. And I say, well, he was in the same boat. He was looking to spend about $3,000 a month. He wanted to buy, but it was so expensive here in Hawaii. And I said, you know, let's just sit down and let's look at all the numbers and let's just explore the options between buying and renting and see what it looks like first, pros and cons. And he agreed. He sat down with me. We went through it and he decided to take the leap and purchase. 3 years later, I sold his condo and he got a check for $75,355. This is a true story. And he says, Devin, I was so close to renting, but I'm glad I bought, because had I not bought, I'd be walking away with nothing. I'm gonna go back to Missouri where I'm from and I'm gonna buy a house outright. And when you tell that story to your clients that are objecting and saying, I wanna rent, you give them something real to hold on to. It's like, oh, hey, this could be you. But when you just give them these one-liners, you're never convincing anybody of anything. If you don't have a story like that, that's fine. Find a broker or a mentor in your office, or use my story and say, you know, one of my coaches always tells me the story of a client of his and I always think about it, and you sound like the same case. And it's not as powerful, but it's better than just saying, well, you're really paying someone else's equity, because that is the lamest objection handler I've ever heard. Habit number 4, K9, C-A-N-E-I, constant and never-ending improvement. Every single week, you gotta be finding 1 or 2 things to improve on. It could be your open houses, it could be your listings, it could be your buyer, it could be your prospecting. You gotta find something, and you need to improve and iterate on it every single week. And when you do that, it doesn't matter how bad you are from the beginning. You could be the worst agent I've ever met in my entire life, and I've met a lot of really crappy ones. And if you choose something to improve on every single week, let's say it's open houses, in the matter of a year, you're gonna be the best in the world at that one thing. But you gotta keep improving. And habit number 5, and people do not do this enough, you gotta ask for advice. ask for help. Find a mentor, find someone in your office, and it doesn't matter what you're struggling with. Somebody else has gone through it too. Whether it's lead generation or maintaining consistency or doing appointments, find somebody and ask them and say, hey Devin, I'm really struggling with this thing. How do you pick up clients at open houses? How do you make expired calls? How do you do whatever? And if you ask them, most people are willing to help, but you have to take the leap and ask. But you can't be afraid to put yourself out there, because I know so many people that will not ask for advice, and it shows. So if you want help from me, I put a checklist in the link below that will download all of our buyer processes, the buyer consultation, what to say on the phone call, and what to do after the phone call. Download the link below. Aloha.